Desiree.
And I'm Audrey, and we're your United Way Quad Cities Good News team.
Did you know that right now more than 50 local organizations are working together with a single goal? That goal is to make life better for kids and families.
The year 2030 might seem like a long way away, but it will be here before we even know it. And United Way Quad Cities has been working very hard to make sure we're making lots of good news happen between now and then. It's called Rise United 2030. And now AJ continues with our in-depth coverage.
Rise United 2030 is a big plan to help families in the Quad Cities have a brighter future. And United is the way. It's getting done. Lots of people are a part of it. Schools, businesses, nonprofit partners, and neighbors. They're all working together to reach 3 big goals. Goal number 1, more kids learning to read and doing great in school. Goal number 2, more grown-ups with enough money to support their families. And goal number 3, making sure families get the health care they need to stay well. And now here's our president and CEO, Renee Gellerman.
Thank you, AJ. I'm really happy to be here today to talk about our Rise United 2030 goals. And one of the unique things about our organization is that we look at not only how successful people are, but how can we do more and achieve more as a community. And our Rise United goals set us up to do that.
Ms. Gellerman, what do these 3 goals have in common?
They're all interconnected. They connect to someone's success in life. We start with 3rd grade reading proficiency, and that's so important because it's one of the biggest indicators whether someone's going to graduate high school and be successful in their career.
And when more grown-ups are earning a living wage, that helps too, right?
It helps a lot. We need our parents to be able to take care of their monthly expenses, their child care, their school expenses for their kids, and equip their family so they have stability every month. And we also need a trained workforce in the Quad Cities. We need people with the skills to fill those high-impact, high-wage jobs.
United Way is also trying to make sure families have access to health care. That's really important.
It's so important, not only physical healthcare, access to routine care to prevent long-term diseases, but also mental health care, vision care. All those things are what make a person be able to have a happy, successful, and productive life.
Thanks, Mrs. Gellerman. These goals will definitely keep our community strong and growing.
We'll be back with more good news. Until then, remember, United is the way. We make good news happen.
Oh, I love those kids. They're a hard act to follow. You just met our United Way new spokespeople, and you'll see more of them in the coming year. They'll be continuing to report out on the good news that you're helping to make happen. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm Renee Gellerman, the president and CEO of United Way. I loved interviewing with those kids about our priorities and goals, and I think they did a really great job today reminding us of what we're trying to accomplish for our community. And they've done a great job of setting us up for today's conversation. I want to start by sharing some progress on what we're making on our Rise United goals. And if we can bring that slide up, you'll see the update. What's encouraging to me is that in all 3 of our indicators, education, financial security, and health, we're moving in the right direction. More kids are reading on grade level this year. More adults are earning a living wage. More people have access to routine health care. And since good news can be hard to find some days, I think it's really important to stop and recognize that progress is happening. At the same time, it's really important that we face the reality. And we only have 30 minutes here today, so I want to take a closer look at our education block. You'll see there that we had about a 2% increase last year in kids who are reading proficiently. We had a 2% increase the year before. But the reality is we have not yet to recover to the numbers before the pandemic. And if we continue at this current pace, we're not going to reach that 80% goal by 2030. And so that's why United Way has spent the last couple years asking, what would it take to actually get us to that goal by 2030? Because third grade reading is one of the strongest indicators of future success in school, in life, and in work. And to give you some perspective on that 58%, that means that about 1,700 of our region's 3,000 students at third grade are reading on grade level. So to reach our goal of 80% by 2030, that means we need another 660 kids to be reading on grade level. Now, that can sound like a lot, but when you break that down over the next 4 years annually, that's only about 165 kids in a region of 320,000 people that we need to get on track. And when you think about it that way, it doesn't feel so far out of reach. It really does feel like it's something this community can do. So today, you're going to hear what we're doing to accelerate efforts that put us on track to achieve that 2030 goal, and we couldn't do it without your support. To kick us off, I'll hand it off to Angela Snyder, our Chief Strategy Officer.
Yeah, there's so much good news to share, but mostly it's because there are so many great people making it possible. And that's really what I love most about my job is when I get to see a donor's passion and generosity inspire someone else's and someone else's. So today I wanted to share a story about two people and how their generosity has sparked change here in the Quad Cities. And to do that, I'd like to introduce you to Sunder and Annette. In 2021, they came to their first Tocqueville event. They committed a gift, and then they called the next morning to see what else they could do to help. They learned that 1 in 4 kids in the Quad Cities has a vision problem that's just never been caught. They struggled in school not because they couldn't learn, but because they couldn't see. And for families who can't afford an eye exam, that barrier just sort of silently sits there. So Sunder and Annette took action. They planned an event that they called Eat, Drink, and Be Giving. They called their friends together. They created this pretty magical evening that got 30 couples in the room to learn how they also could help. And that night, they ended up raising $85,000 and launched a really critical vision program that gave over 300 kids exams and glasses. And now, 5 years later, they continue to host this evening that has raised to date $650,000. So their generosity has given more than 2,000 kids the ability to see the boards in the classroom and stay on track, both in and out of the classroom. And I love it. That's what happens when people step forward and lead. The generosity becomes contagious. And Sunder and Annette are just kind of one example of people stepping up to improve lives, and there are so many more. As I think about influence and people who step forward to lead, Women United comes to my mind. They're another group of really passionate people who identified a problem and decided that they were not going to wait for someone else to fix it. The problem or the issue is that in our community, only 1 in 3 kids has exposure to early childhood development before going into kindergarten. So that puts them at a disadvantage before they're even in the classroom. So Women United, which are women from all across the Quad Cities, they all share one belief that a child's future really is not determined and should not be determined based on where they live or their family circumstances. They are focusing in on a parent engagement initiative called Ready by 5, which are workshops that give parents the tools to be their child's first best teacher. Women United is the fuel behind Ready by 5. They raise funding, they recruit volunteers, and they make sure more families can participate in this amazing program. To date, Ready by 5 has reached more than 10,000 kids and families. They've connected 2,000 parents through early learning workshops, and they've engaged more than 200 community partners. And this work is just so important. It sets the stage for how they enter kindergarten, and beyond that, how they do in the 3rd grade and 3rd grade reading. It's for their lives, really. So I'd love to take just a moment and share a quick video that gives you a deeper look into Ready by 5 and the impact that it makes for our kids and families.
If Rise United 2030 focuses on education, Ready by 5 is one of the pathways that we get there. Ready by 5 is a parent engagement program that gives parents everything that they're going to need to be their children's first best teacher at home, from strategies to learning, using everyday learning moments to actual tools like books and learning resources that they bring home with them.
It's free for parents, and it helps prepare the children in our community to be school ready, and also just to prepare them to have a strong skill set for life.
It's beneficial to be part of this program because you do have the support here. You have day childcare, you have meals that are prepared for you, you're making connection with other parents in the community. So it's all a win. So I would encourage any parent to sign up.
Everybody becomes a parent for the first time, and we're all like, oh my goodness, what's next? Is this right? Is that right? Am I doing it wrong?
Parenting is hard, and it's hard for all of us.
Right? We always feel like we have to do parenting alone, or it's our way, or that's what we were taught. And sometimes the things that we were taught, they've been improved along the way, and that's all right. And I think Ready by 5 really gives us the opportunity to teach parents, or to give parents that, hey, here's help for you. We don't care about your background. We don't care where you came from. None of that really matters. We just want to give you the tools so you can be the best parent you can be to your child, and they're going to love that and appreciate that so much.
We reference a lot of science, but it isn't complex, and it's more just the opportunity to get people thinking about these things that do end up having a huge, huge impact on students by the time they get to kindergarten and beyond.
It takes everyday moments that you have with your child and turns them into learning opportunities without even thinking about it.
The changes that I've noticed with my 4-year-old especially is that she is more engaged when we're reading, and she's actually reading at 4 years old. So she's reading simple words, but she's actually reading. So that was a wonderful win.
Hi, everyone. I am Ryan Semth, and I lead our impact work at United Way. As I listened to that video and listened to Angela talk about Sunder and Annette, I kept coming back to the same thought. None of these stories happened because one person or one organization had all the answers. They happened because of strategic, intentional partnerships, bringing resources and experts together to drive the greatest impact. And life doesn't show up one issue at a time. A few years ago, we started asking how we could make it easier for families to find support when they needed it. We looked at our Rise United 2030 roadmap, and schools seemed like a great place to start. Families already know them, kids are already there, and they're often the most important part of the neighborhood. So starting in January 2025, we placed 2 site coordinators in 2 school buildings. They are trusted adults who work to support attendance, reduce behavior referrals, and improve overall academic performance. Their work is based on a data-driven model shown to reduce crime rates, increase graduation rates, and increase incomes after graduation. Now, just a year and a half later, that program has scaled to 6 sites, 4 school districts, and nearly 3,000 students who receive support from more than 100 of our partners. One school has shown a 13% reduction in chronic absenteeism. Another has reduced behavior referrals by 10%. One of our highest need buildings, parent engagement has gone from a couple dozen families showing up to more than 400 engaged parents and children at family night. This work is changing the dynamic for our schools and the neighborhoods that surround them. Because of the support of donors like you, we're not only scaling that impact, but we're also pulling in matching dollars from national funders, including a $1 million Ballmer Foundation grant. But the data only tells a part of that story. To share more about this work, I want to introduce you to Reagan Baker, our Student Success Director.
Thanks for the introduction, Ryan. Education is foundation to becoming successful in school and life. To do that, all needs have to be met. Students not showing up to school is a symptom of a larger issue. I'm going to share a few stories of the impact being made in our schools and how we're tackling some of these issues. At one of our schools, our site coordinator recognized that there was a lack of basic needs and food supply. So she coordinated efforts with community partners and created a school-wide care closet that is equipped with fresh produce, dry goods, meats, and basic essentials, and clothing for all seasons. Just because school is out does not mean our resources stop. At Moline, Washington, the care closet is open throughout the summer, so families can continue to get what they need. Last summer, over 115 families were served through the care closet, and we will continue to run that this summer. Whether it's coats, socks, hygiene products, or food, our site coordinators provide these essential needs that many families struggle to access. Typically, it's because partners like John Deere, McCarthy Bush, Quad City Bank and Trust, and BitCo that have decided to dedicate their resources or time to support these efforts. If you recall earlier, I mentioned that there are plenty of barriers to success. And here's another example of what that looks like at one of our other partner schools. Our site coordinator noticed that one of her students really struggled to pay attention in class. And she quickly found out that the student wasn't just coming to school and not wanting to learn, but the student was in extreme pain because of a toothache. So what did our site coordinator do? She reached out to our community partners and found a local dentist office willing to lend a hand and provide support. They stepped forward with generosity and provided treatment for the student completely free of charge. Today, the partnership has grown to offer services to not only our students, but to their families as well, still completely free of charge. Over 30 students and their family members have received dental care because of that first connection. 60. That's how many days one student missed last school year. That's a little over 30% of the school year missed. That's a big deal when it comes to academics, connections, and overall well-being for a student. Our site coordinator started working with the student by building a positive relationship, understanding the root causes of why that student was missing school, and then connecting the family to community resources. Because of this, the student only missed a total of 7 days this past fall. And on top of that, that student had a 70-point increase on their state exam. The best part was that that student was able to make the connection that he no longer felt that he wasn't smart enough, but simply he just wasn't there enough. And this is how our site coordinators are showing up in a big way. You've heard 3 different stories today, but there are many, many, many more. When we ensure education, financial security, and health are prioritized, that is when we really start to see the positive impacts in our communities. United for Schools, in short, is here to fill in the gaps so that our teachers can teach, our principals can administer, and our students can learn without barriers. This is truly how we make good news happen, showing up where the community needs us most.
Thanks, Reagan. I think those are really compelling stories, and they are just a couple of the hundreds of stories of impact we hear, whether at our United for Schools sites, our annual Day of Caring, or from our 53 strategic partners across the region. We are continuing to work to scale our impact across strategic investments and our school-based interventions, and you are all key to making that possible. At the end of the day, we know when families are financially stable, kids can focus on learning, families have the resources and ability to access quality healthcare options. Last year, our strategic investments reached more than 90,000 Quad Cityans across education, health, and financial security, all because of your generous giving. For my team and for the families that we serve, I want to thank you for your commitment to this work. Now, I'm going to send it back to Renee to close us out.
Thank you, Ryan, and thanks to my whole team. You did a terrific job. We started today's session by having kids deliver some good news. And I hope throughout the program, you've seen just a small snapshot of what's happening across our community because of your generosity. And my hope is that you feel gratified by your investment of time and talent and treasure. Because the reality is, 5 years ago, much of this that you heard about today didn't even exist. United for Schools didn't exist. Earning national recognition with a $1 million Balmer Foundation grant would not have even been a distant possibility. Women United wasn't reaching and supporting parents the way it is today. And many of the partnerships helping our students and families across our region get connected to what they need wasn't happening then. And the good news is that today, all that is happening and progress is really happening. But it's not happening everywhere and it's not happening fast enough, but it is happening. And we believe we know how to accelerate that progress. And every one of the stories that we told today starts with people like you who choose to care enough to get involved. And if you're looking for a simple way to add to that progress again this year, it's Birdies for Charity season. So please make your pledge. Every dollar receives, as you know, at least a 5% bonus on top of it. And it's one of the easiest ways to stretch your generosity even further. And finally, I just want to tell you how much we appreciate you taking the time to be here to learn a little bit more about the impact that you're making. And thank you for your generosity, your leadership, and your friendship. And until next time, let's all go out and make some good news happen for the Quad Cities. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and have a great day.